Hello, guys. It's Tim Baker. Uh, hadn't posted a video in a while. Been very busy with work and things like that. Been trying to get some hunting done. It's October 8th, bow season down here in South Texas. You can tell by the way I'm dressed. I had to dress kind of warm. We had a massive cold front yesterday. It got down to about 89 degrees yesterday. So anyway, sorry about the gap in the videos. It's just like I said, I've been very, very busy. Want to try to catch back up with you guys. And I'm going to be doing some more shorter videos. I know a lot of my first videos some of them were 30 minutes long. I'm going to try to keep it down to 5-10 minutes, keep your interest, and see if you guys, I can answer any questions or anything like that. So today's video is going to be about what is your real draw length. It's been done a lot of different ways. A lot of people, they have a bow. They have at archery shops. They have like a real light poundage bow that's got an arrow with that's connected to the string. You can't shoot it, but when you pull it, it's got measurements, increments, 1 inch or whatever. And you draw it, and somebody watches you draw it 2 or 3 times, and then they say, okay, your draw length is this. Okay. There's another way. You have a friend, you draw your bow, and then they mark, the front of the arrow with the marks a lot. You do that 2 or 3 times, just make sure you're good and consistent. And there's another way. You got a piece of cardboard, stick the arrow shaft through it, you draw it back, and then where your finger, it'll slide down to and stop, and then wherever it stops at, that's, the length of your arrow. There's a bunch of different ways to measure your draw length initially, and they're all a good starting point. There's nothing wrong with any of them. A lot of people use all kinds of methods for doing that. For decades, probably, I know for decades, my draw length has been 29 and a half to 30 inches. Somewhere right there close, 29 and a half, 30 inches. So I've consistently shot like that forever, for a long, long time. And one thing that I kind of struggled with a little bit with some equipment I have, some bows, with wood arrows and whatever kind of arrows. Every once in a while, my consistency would be a little bit sketchy, for the lack of a better term. And accuracy is, in my mind, in direct proportion or direct relation to your consistency when you shoot your bow. That's probably one of the most key things. Of course, arrow bow combination, the right combination, that helps a lot, but your personal consistency is the driving force behind your accuracy. Okay. And I stumbled across something here a while back, and I've been playing with it a little bit, and if you're not experimenting, you're not doing yourself any justice. You have to experiment to find your groove. And what I mean by that is, okay, let's just take, for instance, Howard Hill, Fred Bear, some of the other, well-known names. These people were accomplished champion target archers before they ever were known for hunting and stuff like that. So, they were shooting at targets 50 yards away with very primitive equipment. I mean, it was up to date to them, but nowadays that equipment, people probably couldn't even handle it. You got there's a young guy on YouTube, James Joyce, I think's his name, something like that. Young guy. Just to name a few of these people, what they all have in common is they found their groove. They're very consistent with the way that they shoot, the way they draw, the way they hold the bow, the way they point the bow. Their draw length is very consistent. They don't necessarily have this real spread out, draw whenever they draw their bow. So my point is this: I was tinkering around, shooting some blunts or wood arrows, shooting some blunts at different targets, different distances, just walking around, shooting stuff. And I broke an arrow. And that happens. It happens to everybody if you do much of that kind of stuff. Well, the arrow was, that much shorter. So what I did was I just straightened up the end and retapered it and glued another blunt on it. And stuck it in my quiver. Well, continuing on at different times, it dawned on me one day that I had to, with that a little bit shorter arrow, I had to actually get down on the arrow a little more because I couldn't draw it all the way, back there 30 inches. I had to get down on it a little bit more, but I was very consistent with that arrow. I mean, I could, 8 out of 10 times or more sometimes hit everything I looked at with it. So it kind of dawned on me. It took a while, obviously, but it dawned on me that with that one arrow, maybe I need to make me another arrow about the same length. So I made another blunt, same way, same length. It was quite a bit shorter, probably an inch shorter than my other arrows. So I got to playing with just those two arrows, and it just seemed like there was a groove there I got in with those two arrows. It was just same spot every time, same thing, and I literally could hit things that my percentage of hits on very, very small targets went up, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I tinkered around, and this was over months of time. This didn't happen in one afternoon. Okay. I made up a couple of arrows, about 3 arrows with field points that length, and started shooting them. And I shot them regularly for a week. And I noticed that at longer distances, because I don't typically step off 20 yards or step off 30 yards or step off 10. I just kind of eyeball whatever I'm shooting at, and I'll take a shot. Sometimes I'll take a shot down at Sendero at a dirt clod down there. I don't even know how far it is, but when I step it off, it's 75 yards down there. But typical hunting distance for me, probably 20 steps or so. It was almost like everything went like this. It kind of really came to, focus got really small on with those arrows. So I continued to kind of develop that a little bit and work on it. And I realized pretty quickly that I was a lot more consistent. I don't know exactly how much draw length that I took off with that little bit shorter arrow, but I just know that whenever my shoulder blades were touching in the back, my elbows just bent slightly, but I know that when my elbows touch in the back, that was kind of my trigger to release. I mean, my shoulder blades, not elbows. When my shoulder blades touched each other in the back, that meant I was square with my target, and I'm telling you that my accuracy went up, just for me anyway. Now, I may get some flack for saying what I'm about to say, but that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Just because you can draw a bow 29, 30, 31 inches, whatever the number is, just because you can draw it that far doesn't necessarily mean with a longbow, and I'm assuming recurves too, but with a longbow, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be drawing it that far. What I mean by that is there is a groove. If you're struggling with accuracy, now if you're not struggling with accuracy, or you're satisfied with your accuracy, then disregard this video. Okay. But if you're having a little bit of trouble with consistency, you'll shoot 2 or 3 arrows, they'll be in a spot like that, and then you got one over there about that far away, or you're kind of making a half moon around your bullseye at whatever distance. If you're doing stuff like that, I would suggest trying this. And I don't mean take an arrow and cut off 2 inches of it and start trying. I mean, I would maybe take off maybe a point length, where your taper length, okay? And that would just scoot the point back a little bit closer, or half an inch, whatever, you know, start doing something like that. And once you feel the metal touch your index finger on your bow hand, and I use that also as a trigger, my shoulder blades touch and I feel the metal on my finger, and that's my kind of my trigger to make me release. I would challenge you to do that and just try it. Doesn't cost a lot. Take an arrow that's kind of beat up or whatever, refletch it, of course, and just experiment with it. You never know. You know, I've actually, through this process, I've actually shortened up my hunting arrows, and I shot my broadheads, and it was had the same effect. I don't mean shorten them up 4 inches. That's probably too much. I'm just saying, make yourself a little more compact. Get your head down on your arrow, touch your shoulder blades, and keep your elbow flat and straight on your draw hand. And it helped me. So some people are going to say, well, you need to draw your bow all the way back and have, you know, your bow arm needs to be perfectly straight and everything needs to be lined up, and you need to be like this when you shoot your bow. Well, it's been my experience over years and years and years, decades and decades, that a lot of times whenever you're hunting, if there's an animal within 30 feet of you, you don't have the luxury of drawing all the way back and all that movement. Sometimes it's kind of an abbreviated little process there. So just keep that in mind too. Try it. Just try it, guys, and see what you think. Leave some comments below. Let's talk about it. It worked for me. I'm not saying this is a perfect system or anything like that, but one of my, I was actually picking up an arrow. I shot it out there, and I was shooting, I don't know how far it is, a long ways over there. I shot out there, and I missed that target. And I was pretty far back, I don't know, 50, 60 yards or something. And I told myself, well, if you're not missing, you're not challenging yourself. And that's actually pretty true. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not getting any better. I mean, you can stand at 30 feet and shoot in your basement or in your garage or in your backyard and hit a dime every single time. But move that dime back to 40 yards or 50 yards, and then, you know, or have something swinging back and forth. Start challenging yourself. That's the only way you're going to get better. And I would be the whole takeaway from this video is be open-minded to trying new stuff with your equipment, because I'm as bad as anybody about being in a rut. No, this is the way I want it. This is the way it's got to be with my bow. But purely by accident, happenstance, whatever you want to call it, I kind of discovered something about myself that I didn't know. And I'm actually pretty happy. Now, consistency also comes with practice. If you don't practice, I don't care who you are, you're not ever going to find that groove where it feels right every time and it feels like, you know that you're going to hit the target when you look at it. You have to practice. There's just no getting around it, except for those, like I mentioned in a previous video, there's 1 or 2 people in the world that they don't have to do any practicing. They can just go out and hit the target every time at whatever distance, no matter what. I am not that person. And I'm assuming that most people that are watching these videos probably are not that person either. So anyway, enjoyed the video. I enjoyed getting back with you guys. I got some other stuff coming up I want to talk about, some bowstring stuff and things like that. I'm going to be hunting this evening, so I won't have time to put another video together today, but hopefully I'll be seeing you guys soon. And thank you for all your subscribers. I appreciate you guys coming on there. I appreciate all the comments, good and bad. It's overwhelmingly been good. I've had a few people that disagreed with me, and that's fine, and I knew that going in. I've always kind of prefaced my videos with, I'm not an expert. I just have a lot of time doing it, and I also have a good time doing it. So you take that for what it's worth. If I can help anybody, leave comments, get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook too. There's been some people reached out to me on there on Messenger and things like that. So anyway, enjoyed it, guys, and I hope you get something out of this. We'll see you next time.